Welcome to the Real Double Dose Channel broadcast station, focused on the real reels of real life, love, growth, and of course, elevation within all levels. RDDC is exactly the place where anyone can discover more depth, love, light, and clarity within themselves, and elevate from other people's walks of life, conversations, and questions, along with deeper insights. So tune in and be a part of the Double Doses with Lexus T and RDDC.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Real Double Dose channel. This is your host, Lex, coming to you straight from the heart where the talk is real and the vibe is always live, like I used to say, always say, and will continue to say. For any show requests, feedback, or anything under the sun, as always and as usual, get a hold of us at realdoubledosechannel.com and realdoubledosechannel at yandex.com. That is the email you can get a hold of us for our previous past guests, more guests to come, different fields of understanding. And also check out spiritandmindelevation.com. That's spirit, A-N-D, mind.com, where we have nothing but the goodies and so much more. And all of you who have picked things up already, hashtag blessings, love, ascension. And if you notice on the website, there's different stuff that Angela and I have updated when it comes down to different tiers of what's going to happen. We're going to be doing a shift with a Nirvana duality. That might be a physical location, completely off the Ritz, which you never would even comprehend, to the mind. When this goes all over, it's going to be insane. I don't know. Press release might have it. I don't know, but you get first choice, the ones who have been rocking with us from the beginning, to come out there and check out what's going on with that. But we're having the S&M, or Spirit and Mind Elevation master classes, and Elevation Awakening. Yes, Elevation Awakening. So we're going to be having those. Check that out. If not, in the meantime, check out the goodies that we do have for you. Some for a cup of coffee and some for the price of going to McDonald's and waiting to drive through for 25 minutes. I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So I just want to say, from all you listening from TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, Spreaker.com, different ones out there from all the platforms, iHeart, iTunes. I can't even name them at this point because we're going all over. Deezer, Google Cast, Podchaser. There's different ones that I'm probably not even mentioning, but they're just so embedded in my head, I had to put it out there. But I'm just happy to be back on here because I have a story for you. But it's iconic and ironic because this particular segment and episode is called hashtag It's All a Story. So that's actually kind of cool how that blends up with it. And I mean, literally, from everything we talk about is a story. From what happened at the store to the way to the tattoo, you know, different things. So let's get into it. I'm happy that we're back and I miss you all. And I'll tell you why I'm in this wonderful place right now. So let's tune in. All right. So that is hashtag It's All a Story. I wish we could all say that together. So if you're there right now, the downloaders, the listeners, the lives, hashtag It's All a Story. Yes. And you heard it here first when it comes down to how we'll say these verses. I just want to put that out there. So when I say hashtag It's All a Story, I mean that in the most deliberate way possible. So let me tell you this story first, okay? Because this is real. And just because we say story, I want to put a disclaimer out there. People say story. It doesn't mean it's false, right? Some people emphasize more. Some people exaggerate more. Whatever it is, everything's a story. But this right here is true, based on a true, very true story, all the way down to the events. So at the end of the day, when the last episode came out, you were listening to what was going on with RDDC, and thank you for your loyal, wonderful hearts that stay along with the journey no matter what. I know I need to be more consistent with some things, but if you really, really get a chance to see the cusp of everything that's coming out, you know, Angela, I say Tony a lot too, but he's more of our back guy who just chills back in the cut. But at the same time, you know, we're a unit, and all those to come with us, and all those as far as, you know, having our producer and different things that we do with Risco, all of them, it's still unity always, no matter how much of a pause you may hear. But it's been a journey, family, and yes, it has. And everything is, you know, but when it comes down to it, like everything I've worked on and projects for 4 years completely just wiped away from me, having to recover that, having to basically order all the mechanics that make me able to be here more present and how I know how to function. But thankfully, I got a chance to have a 17.3 inch screen, you know, helping me out. But yeah, it was a 20-something day journey in between there. So there's real hashtag real life stuff like we all have going on when you don't hear from me. And it's not the point of, oh, let me just have a meltdown and come back. It's the point that I want to come back full in effect for whoever is listening to the message that they get from these episodes and different things that they have that is given freely back to you because it means a lot and is my life's journey. It's my purpose, and this is what I do. So I don't want to just come, scratching the back of my, leg, I'll say, and just saying, oh, hey, I had a cheeseburger. It upset my stomach. I didn't want to talk for 4 weeks. That's not me. But remember, everything I do is for the elevation of myself. Of course, you got to elevate the self, and you got to also elevate those are the extension, the olive branches that come out. And that is all you beautiful hearts out there. So without further ado, we'll get into that later on. You can ask me questions when we have the lives or different stuff that we're having for the casts. But right now, I'm going to say we are completely getting that field over to YouTube. So there'll be a lot of more listeners coming in from that avenue, which they're comfortable with, which I do understand, because a lot of journeys I listen to, I don't like to have to be stuck at a screen looking at a video play. I like to hear what's going on with it, So just to be able to reach out to those who really need it. And hashtag mental health is definitely beyond just sitting in office getting pills. It's beyond that. It's the nurturing of the soul and everything else. So that's what the mission is always for, the mission statement, right? Past episode. So hashtag, it's all a story. I just was thinking about that before. I know we had different baselines to where we went in like, oh, hey, it's all a story. What's going on? So forth. A person told me a story, blah, 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 like a gossip, right? When people gossip, they go out and about and go out their way to sit there and say some raunchy, crazy things about people, whether it's true or not. Or like they say, pass it on. You talk to 10 people, you tell them, hey, Greg had for example, an egg last night. It turns into the 9th or 10th person. Greg went out with a couple girls last night, cheated on his wife, threw eggs at each other, and he got in trouble for messing up the public, whatever. It changes its way. Right. And I'm not saying that to protrude anything, but everything is hashtag, it's all a story. So the question is, well, we're now in this brand new era, if you're listening to this, it doesn't matter if you're listening to this 10 years later. I'm not afraid to say hashtag 2022 and beyond, because it all is an evergreen feeling. We're all going to go through these steps. We're all going to go through these intensified journeys of what we do. But hashtag is all about the story of what we have to say, because it's hashtag, it's all about the story. It's all a story. From the biblical principles to understanding what's going on, it's all the stories we learn to hear when people sit down and hear the message of the words that have to come with the existence of humanity and why we still breathe. Is hashtag, it's all a story. When you go and you ask your significant other or your friend or your family, hey, how was your day at work? How was your day going to the store? Hey, how did the car get fixed? They sit down or they give you a certain look and say, I don't feel like telling you right now. Right? Why? Because hashtag, it's all a story. Boom. I'm just saying, I had to get lit right there. But it is. And I thought about that. And I know one of the men, I'm not sure if it was, I believe, I'm not going to say Steve Jobs, but I think it has something to do with that and then the making of Toy Story. And I don't want to ruin the legacy of what people know as Steve Jobs. But I mean, in reference point, you can Google it later, like Edward Cullen said so well in Twilight. What's going on when it comes down to the story? He was looking at Walt Disney, I believe, for example, and he was saying, man, look at this. I mean, look at Walt Disney. He makes the world turn, and everyone knows his name by stories. From the beginning of time, from all the stories that have been written down from all those who have tried to conquer and slave ships aboard, all the things that have happened to the nations that were indigenous and wiped out, from the things that have happened to the colonies and different continents and whatever else under the sun. We're not getting into all the details. It's all been a story. Now, a story has the same truth. I mean, like they say, some of these events have been changed for the protection of people or altered for a different perception or whatever it might be. But ultimately, hashtag, it's all a story is all we get in life. The story of how we became, the story of when your child asks you now or in the future, how did I become? How did you and mom or dad meet? How did things happen? From a mechanic, you bring your car and you tell them the story. What happened to your car? Okay, this is what's wrong with your car. You might not like the results of the story, but you get what you get. Hey, here's a story. What would you like? Well, I can't have some ice cream because I have a allergy. And one time when I had an allergy, so forth and so forth. It's a story. So what about that in reference point? What is it about hashtag, it's all a story, comes from the pages of that? And I'm very profound on that, because so many things will say, well, I listened to the law of attraction, different things like that, and I just can't manifest. I know one thing, when I started writing them down and a physical, well, for me, it worked as a pen and paper. When I got a chance to write that down, I'm more digital writing and stuff. And I'm kind of like, I love my cursive. I love my things, which the new generations of newer ones, I guess, don't even know what that is, I guess, but it's still, calligraphy is beautiful. Check it out sometime. But ultimately, I just feel like we don't get a chance to speak the story the way that it's meant to be, the way that it should be, honestly. And I know a lot of you will agree when I say that. In retrospect, there is a different, let me see what Angela put here. Well, basically it was a question from, we have a lot of them. I know I've been saying this for a while, but we get back to a lot on the other aspects. And as one hashtag cool YouTuber said, who does different adoption stories that she does, of being a single mother of multicultural children she's adopted, she said, you don't see all the comments. You don't see all the conversations that come through on the back end, from what you see in your face, different things we respond to. But I believe this is to Paulina, or I would say Paula in the dialects I grew up in, but I'm going to say it for her, Paulina, and it's Garrison, I believe. And that is in beautiful, beautiful North Carolina. Well, hello. And I just want to say there's something I grabbed because I loved her in-depth feeling about it. So hi, Paulina, if you're listening, and I know you will, because you're amazing, just like Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound, RDDC familians. But ultimately, she asked, hi, Lex and RDDC. I just wanted to say, most of the time when I tell my story, it doesn't seem to come to fruition. How do I go about, basically, in a nutshell, she highlighted, how do I go about making sure my story is the best to go for? I don't know how to make the story a reality when I feel like the reality I live supersedes the story that I want to tell to come true. Oh my goodness. Break it down, Paulina. Wait. I love that. And that's why I had to make sure I grabbed that. The other questions are definitely wonderful, but I believe they're going to be answered or have been answered in what we're about to say. When it comes down to that, it is the whole reference of what I've been saying in multiple different segments and episodes that have come by, and what I will continue to preach to myself as well first, and all those who are connected to me in this tribe of life we call. It is hashtag is all a story. The thing is, like I said before, we don't nurture it enough. We don't give it the watering and the sunlight enough. Sustainability, consistency is what we're all missing somehow. My consistency shows when I want to stay more afloat with things and I wait for the perfect timing, where someone else would say, hey, jump on the opportunity, no matter how it sounds, just get it out there. Consistency. But some people care about quality instead of quantity. Let me just reverse that again. Some people care about quality instead of quantity. And it matters on different fields, because if we're all telling ourselves, oh, hashtag, it's all a story, why are we so adamant about not being there for ourselves when it comes down to the story of life that needs to unfold? If we continue to do that challenge, and I challenge all of us to do that. Maybe I'll have, you know what? I'm going to do a challenge like that. I'll probably put that up on the site. We can all join for free and do something and kind of do our manifesting together. And let's do it RDDC style. Yes, we can. But yeah, do that momentum where the story has never changed. It only gets more abundant about it. And I think this is a good way to go about it as well. So hear me out on this one. We should all make it a point to get a journal, get a reference point to where we're sitting at, and we're basically making what we want as that story. I believe there's certain dynamics of making that happen when you want to become that. And honestly, I'm going to actually have a link for that coming up. So whatever time you're hearing this, it'll probably be on Spirit and Mind Elevation or RDDC. They're still hand in hand, sisters, together. The real double dose. They're double dosing with the RDDC and Spirit of My Elevation. Yes, they are. I'm going to have something out there because I definitely want to address this, Paulina, and different ones to it. I want to actually have like a little miniature kind of powwow in the name of my ancestors, be able to do that and kind of get that together in a very sacred circle and respectful and understanding, and completely elevate the mind on those sources. So that would be, well, oh my God, it's just going to be wonderful. That's all I can say about it. I don't even want to stutter right there, but it's going to be off the chain. Yeah. This is real life. This is facts. But until that part, right, when I want to be able to have it long enough to where we can kind of get what we need from it. Hashtag It's All a Story is basically making sure we're mindful of the things that should be a part of our story, making sure we embrace the cusp of it. And really what it comes down to is the power of belief as well, because no matter what story you tell, if you don't believe it, you don't believe it. Why don't you try an example? Go to the store, or whatever it might be, or go have something that you have and hide it in a certain place. Or put it away, not anything important, like hopefully like just a little miniature toy or whatever, not your medicine or anything like that. Disclaimer, okay? Or just go to the store, buy a lime. But in that retrospect, why don't you try this for about a good week? Put that lime in the fridge and write something down that says, I did not go to the store to buy anything on this day or this date. I did not buy a lime. And see what that does in your conscience, because you're going to fight and say, well, I know I'm right. I did go to the store and buy a lime, Lex. So how am I going to lie? Why am I lying to myself? No, it's the power of belief. Even if you believe that you did or didn't, will your mind be able to gravitate you to actually believe when you see that lime 2 weeks later, you'll say, well, hey, who bought that? Because it wasn't me. Test it out. See how it goes. I'm going to test it out too. We'll see what happens here. We'll have to update each other. But ultimately, hashtag is all a story. I just want to come and kind of feel it out a little bit, let you guys know I'm still breathing, I'm still here, we're beautiful, we're past the, happy Valentine's Day. I know it's a long time ago, but happy Valentine's Day every day, because every day is Valentine's Day, because you always have someone to love and within the self first. But I just want to say, no matter what inertia, what energy you have, that's the story that you'll get. You're always going to get the story that you tell, and the story that you tell, the belief system within. Because if you tell yourself you're not worthy of being loved, that's the story you're going to believe. Now, we're really, really quick not to listen to things. We all are guilty of this, if guilty was ever a word. But we can all be accountable for this. Let's put that, because guilty is a little different. I don't care about eating a little bit of extra, molten lava cake guilty, but let's not put it on this one. It's human tactics of seeing things. It's behavior seen from our loved ones and our ancestors. It's different things that we've seen, and we can't quite shift the paradigms. But I do believe, in the words of, when I heard it, Bob Proctor was saying some time ago, that when you shift the paradigms, different things happen to your belief system. And that's exactly what it is. And I was speaking to my mother briefly, and I said, Mom, it's going to be kind of weird. Like Amanda Hawking, that very famous writer now that came from Austin, Minnesota, which is about a good 45-minute drive from where I'm at. It was just in Minnesota. Let me just reference that. It got to a point to where she was kind of working at a cafe at the time. This is like several years ago now. She's probably definitely blown up a lot more than that. And kudos to her on her writing journey. Okay, hashtag Amanda Hawking. This is to you. You inspired me to just keep on going. Do what you love, and it will turn out, no matter how you see it. Not the perception of the world, but it'll turn out. But, in her mind, her belief system was to say, hey, I am a millionaire now. This is what she grossed in from Amazon sales for her books over, I don't even know the span, maybe over a year, several months, don't quote me. But in her mind, she was still working as a cafe server, I believe. And she was telling herself, man, look at this. I got to get some new socks or something like that she had to get. So she was waiting for her next payday or scrambling around for some change or whatever it might be, just thinking about her account in general. This is how her belief system has been. Okay, mind you, people say, what do you mean scrambling around? Because she had over $1 million, 1.2 million at the time in her account. But her belief system for so long, her story has been, I work at a cafe shop. I get paid every 2 weeks based on tips. This is what I do. This is who I am right now. This is my journey in life at this time. So it was her story to talk about that story. But mind you, even though she never spoke, I'm pretty sure she didn't walk around just saying it, just stating it the way I did. Her story still was the same. Her mind, her spirit did not catch up to say, hey, Amanda, you got $1.2 million in the bank. That's our new story. She didn't walk around, no, whether it be for safety purposes or not later on, but she's not going to say, hey, I'm a millionaire now. I could just quit this job. No, because her story, her paradigm had shifted in the physical, but it still didn't shift in the physical. It didn't catch up to her mind's eye. Her spirit didn't grasp on to feel a little bit lighter. She still was digging in her pocket for that change. She still was looking at her account to say, hey, can I take out $20 and go to Walmart, example, purposes, to say, man, can I go get me that $11 bag of socks? Okay, I'm adding some of my stuff in there. I don't know what kind of sock. Maybe it was one pair. We don't know. But the whole point is, RDDC familians, she had to melt her way into it. She said she went back home, and I'm telling you another story because hashtag it's all a story, but these are facts. Right? At least the facts from what I can get out, because my mind, my mind doesn't tell it too smooth all the time, but I will give you the truth of what I do know to understand. But always feel free to check it out yourself. I encourage that. her story, her paradigm never shifted to say, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, these things are real now. I don't have to dig in my purse. I don't have to look at my account. Now, it's good to be budgeting later. Of course we know, but forget the logistics right now. We're speaking raw. This is what it is. She had to tell herself, as she said, and she did quote, hey, I had to remember, my friend had to remind me I'm a millionaire now. I had to shift my paradigm. And it seems like at that moment when they were, getting that interview with her, she shifted that paradigm and then she started incorporating in her mind. Now, it still was safe on one end from how her paradigm was, because your mind is telling you save, be careful. You might have to pay for rent. You might have a broken tire. We can't afford this. So she still lived in the confines of actually, being intelligent about it, not just going out there and spending it all. However she wanted to spend it, right? She didn't even know it was going to be there. But at the same time, it was still the story that she told until she started embracing the story inwardly before she expected the story to come outwardly. Once she embraced it inwardly, it's okay for her to understand how to go to the bank and say, hey, it's okay if I spend $1,000 out of here. I'm not going to skip rent next month. I have over $1 million to do that with. And whether that reality be 5,000 or 10,000, I mean, hell, right now, 500, 100 changes lives before, but it really does now. COVID-19 didn't need to come slap us 10 times over and tell us to go there and, eat a fudge brownie and sit in the corner and cry for us to know that. Let's be real. So I'm just going to say, at the end of the day, no matter what it goes, we're still going to look up that. I'm going to make sure I can put that together, whatever it is, maybe a little mini free course or some stuff we can do together. I really would like to do this more so with you, because I do believe it'll happen that way. But if we can still do it somehow, digitally, whatever it might be, until we get to the physical masterclass, I want to do that. Hashtag it's all a story, because I do believe that is going to be an ultimate challenge for all of us to have a good time with and explore. Definitely. A lot of people before, and I think some time ago I had listened to Abraham Hicks. I'm not sure if she's still around or what goes on, but I'll shout out to them. I was in California at the time, and I remember I would just kind of enter in on these conversations she would have by clicking something, and it would lead me there or something I was doing, because I had the audio on as I walked about a mile or so every day, which I need to get back to make my energy feel better with the sun beaming on me, giving me that beautiful toasted roastedness. But we're still loving the Midwest, snow and all. I'm just saying, can't forget where your heart is centered as well. But at the same time, she was going through this conversation with just shifting the conversation. I mean, it comes down to that. Hey, some people might want to say, like right now, one of my friends, Chris, he's working on his book. He could be, hey, I walked down to the park the other day, making the adventure happen. I walked around the corner and saw Spider-Man, and all of a sudden, whatever. It might be whimsical. It might be funny to you. Okay, well, what's going to happen is next week I'm going to get on this and I'm going to research this. And then because of that, this is what happened to her, whatever it be, a Poseidon nickname or whatever it might be. And some might say, well, I don't want to start writing down things and messing up my mind to think. No, this is an exercise of belief system to manifesting something that is already waiting for us. It's not the point of telling ourselves, hey, we have a fridge full of groceries and knowing that we're going to not have anything that night. It's common sense practices. And if you want more of that, you can check out realdoubledosechannel.blogspot.com for that disclaimer as well. I'm just saying. Yes, don't forget the .blogspot.com for Real Double Dose Channel. We got some goodies over there and beautiful past guest experts and more to come. Like I keep saying, keep on pushing, never give up, never give in. But I just want to say it's hashtag it's all a story. I'm going to wrap this up because ultimately I want you to remember that every time from this point on, the message I want you to also get from the seed drop is knowing that every time you talk from this point on, whether it be on the phone, conversations, you're all giving a story of the past, the present, the current, everything. Oh, I felt good to hear that. Okay, so I had to put that country band in there for a minute. So yeah, I just want to make sure you understand that everything you share, everything we give is a story. So just make sure you're defining what story you want to write for your own chapters. It doesn't have to be something you sell or pre-sell or push on anyone else. It's something that you have to embrace. And if you want a different story, a better relationship, a better physical outward, inward appearance, if you want a better feeling, a better mindset, a better mood shift, it all starts with the story that you're giving and embracing energetically within the energy and the ether of life itself and all that is the inhabitants of the the spirit. And then also being able to project it in your mind's eye and knowing that, hey, no matter what may happen, whatever life tries to throw at me, Murphy's Law, come get it. I'm ready for a ping pong. Everything is never going to be forever permanent in this world. So live it out to the fullest. Let life tell you, hey, time's up. Don't take your time before the time's up. Live it out to the fullest. See every avenue possible. Don't give up and don't give in. I will say that. And I say that to those out there who are feeling some type of way where they feel like they just don't have the energy to go on tomorrow because we're so stuck in a cookie cutter digital world to where not the benefits that come out of it, like us listening and talking to each other right here, but all the flashes of what life's supposed to be on a human scale. Look at all the nature and all the things that make you. Look at all the understanding of dynamics. Remember something. Human is always going to be the flesh, but the spirit and the mind is something that'll always elevate you forever and beyond. And when the mind is gone, you still have the entirety of the spirit, which keeps your whole physical being going. Without the breath, there is no life. So remember that. Don't forget where it comes from. God, the creator, all that is. Don't get stuck in a box of just what you should wear and what pew you should sit in. It's about the church and the temple within your mind. Everything starts there. You could sit there at a baseball game and be listening to a sermon. You could go to a church and be listening to a baseball game. You could go to a meditation practice and be thinking about the argument you had with your spouse or your child. You could go sit there and have a nice lunch eating healthy, but you're thinking about having a greasy pizza and a big old soggy donut, example. I'm just saying, it doesn't matter. It all starts with the story you tell. And honestly, it's called Be the Change and Feel the Passion and Embrace the Power of the Spirit. I say that for a reason. Because your season and our season will never be here unless we start understanding hashtag it's all a story. And we have the power to write it any way we want. We have the power to manifest it, not just manipulate it, manifest it into what we want it to be because we were given that power from all that is, all that will ever be. So I want to give that here. 1 equals 1 million, whether there's one of you or millions right now. I want you to understand that. Be looking out for that, whether it's going to be the RDDC or it's going to be people from different parts that Angela promotes is going on for this free challenge that I definitely want to put together, and I will put a shout out when that is available. Like I said, realdoubledosechannel.com and as spiritandmindelevation.com, www. Of course, and don't forget to check out realdoubledosechannel.blogspot.com for wonderful tips and insights. We're always here. We're moving, we're going, we're flowing, we're here. So I just want to say all the love in the world. I'm still here. We got some more goodies coming. I already got something prepped. Let's make this journey just together. You don't have to be alone. We're not going to just be a voice that you tap into and there's nothing else. Make room in your life so you can start having a different story and a camaraderie and a tribe of those out there who are on the same mission as you, but just in their own flavor and their own definition. That's what it's all about. Power and unity and power. So this is your girl, Lexus T. I love you. Hashtag it's all a story. Again, get that in your head. And I love you. And we'll be back with you very, very, very soon.